Graduate Division IDM Nations campus, and also I'm reading my PhD at Kothalawala Defence University. My research area is about, today I'm going to discuss about the national policies on the use of web services by the differently able community in Sri Lanka. And it's a preliminary study and some kind of analysis and problems I raised, and my agenda is go to purpose of this research and introduction, research methodology I use, and some kind of a literature review, findings and conclusions. Tim Berners-Lee, W3C director and the inventor of the World Wide Web, says the power of the web is in its universality. Access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect. How? How do people who cannot move their arms use websites? What about the people who cannot see well or at all? People who have difficulty hearing or understanding or having other accessibility needs. So, therefore, purpose of my research is to find out on problems and issues in national policies on the use of web services need to be considered for differently able community in Sri Lanka. The World Wide Web Consortium, or W3C, have put together a standard on how to code a site to make it accessible to disabled individuals. National Policy on Disability for Sri Lanka, NPDS, is umbrella policy for Sri Lankan differently able community. For that, the research methodology I use is a literature survey, as also some kind of a small interview with the Sri Lankan web developers to identify the knowledge about these W3C standards. And data sample collected from identify the national policies and 10 different country policies for differently able community and web accessibility initiatives at W3C. In the internet statistics about the internet, internet usage is very high, and in the Sri Lanka also it comes to 1.7 million number of internet users are using the internet. Do you know 1 out of 4 is having some kind of a disability of accessing websites? It can be degrees of auditory, cognitive, neurological, physical, speech or visual disabilities. In our Sri Lankan National Policy on Disability for Sri Lanka, it's developed in 2003, and policy number 14, it's discussed about the assistive devices and information technology. But in there, it's not discussed about the web standards to be considered by developers and the other policymakers. And also, I have already analyzed some of the world national policies for differently able community. Analysis based on the 10 countries recommended by the World Health Organization: Afghanistan, China, Fiji, India, New Zealand, South Africa, Sri Lanka, Sweden and UK. Out of that, Sweden and the Fiji are the highly concentrate on IT with differently able web related issues, and also Afghanistan is the poor attention given to them. And most country policies level not concerned to web standards to be considered for differently able web users. The web standards discussed by the Web World W3C, it's called as the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. Earlier it was 1.0 and it's changed to 2.0 with the 12 guidelines. It's basically divided into 4 areas: perceivable, operable, understandable and robust. Under the perceivable, it discussed 5 things to provide text alternative for non-text contents. Right? For example, like if you have in the websites, if you have some picture or something, somebody can see it. So you have to concentrate to put it into the text alternatives, because assistive technology, assistive technologies, some of the software tools have to identify those things and convert it into the, make it possible to access the blind users. So, and the second one is the caption and other alternatives for multimedia, and some of the create content that can be present in different ways. Contents should provide in a different way of format of producing, and it's including the assistive technologies without losing the means. In the assistive technologies, so for example, like someone who cannot touch, or maybe they cannot use the keyboard, so how they are communicate with the internet. So there are some assistive devices already developed. So the website developers should consider about those the devices, and it should be consider of standards to be maintained for this particular assistive technologies, and create and make it easier for users to see and hear context. So we have to, the web developers have to consider on those areas. And under the operable, make all functionality available from a keyboard. So and also give users enough time to read and use contents. So there are some people, it will take little bit more time to understand what it is there. Sometimes when we are accessing the website, some contents very quickly changing. So therefore we have to consider on those type of people, differently able people, when developing the web contents. And give and do not use content that cause serious, and help some users navigate and find some context. And under the understandable, make it text readable and understandable. So the different type of understanding of the people in the web users, so that should be made to an consideration. It should be readable and also it should be understandable. And make content appear and operate in predictable ways, and help some users to avoid and correct mistakes. And minimize under the robust, they concerned about the maximize the compatibility with current and future user tools. Problem in national policies in Sri Lanka, the main thing is not concerned about the difficulties faced by the Sri Lankan differently able community. And no mechanism to check the readiness of Sri Lankan websites for W3C standards. And also no strategic level plan to initiate awareness program on this problem. And for identify problems, I have made some recommendations to consider the W3 standard on accessibilities about differently able community when developing and publishing any websites within the Sri Lanka. And also I propose to conduct a national survey to check the readiness of the Sri Lankan based websites to fully access by the differently able citizens also. And conduct awareness programs to web developers on the W3C web standards. And also propose some changes could be considered in national policy on disability for Sri Lanka. It's go evaluate the websites for accessibility, some kind of a preliminary review for websites for accessibility, a conformance evaluation of websites for accessibility, evaluation during the development process. So before it published, development process, the evaluation can be made. And involving differently able users in web accessibility evaluation. So it is necessary to before publish to have some different kind of disability users to involving and evaluate the websites. And thank you very much.